Sometimes Christianity can get mundane, and you ask yourself the question, am I growing? Am I staying stagnant? Because the truth is, if you're a Christian, you need to grow. This video is about how to grow as a Christian. Let's get into it. If you're a new believer, if you've been in the faith for a very long time, you've been a Christian from birth, it doesn't matter. These tips that I'm about to talk about will help you because they're going to show us how we should grow as a Christian, the things that we should do. So Psalms 1 talks about, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he doth meditate day and night. This is the verse I want us to focus on. Psalms 1 verse 3. And he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, and his leaves shall not wither. So you're not going to be seasonal. You're going to be an evergreen tree. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Those who delight in the law of the Lord will be as a tree planted by the water, and you will not wither, and you'll produce fruit in due season. Now, when I thought about that verse, I said to myself, trees grow. They grow from a seed, and then they get big. Fine. Now, the person who has to plant that tree has to think, is this something that can grow in this environment? Is this plant something that will be long term? Will it bloom for a while and then die? Is it a big tree? Is it a shrub? Whatever the farmer is going to plant, he has to think about that, right? And I thought about it and I said, as a Christian in the faith, you have to think about, one, the fact that Christianity is a journey, not a destination. It is a journey. Heaven is the destination, but Christianity continues even then. The farmer has to think the soil that is needed, all the nutrients that are needed. He has to think about that whole process. And that's what we have to do. And that's what we're going to go through today. So we are the trees, and we're going to think of ourselves as trees. And the analogy goes perfectly, because trees need certain things to survive, and so do we, in order for our Christian life to survive. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Now back to the video. Have to think about, why am I a Christian? Have to think about, why am I a Christian? Am I a Christian because I love Jesus, which would be the right answer? Or am I a Christian because my friend did it, so I got baptized, or I'm doing it for people? Or am I a Christian because it looks good, and so I'm a Christian for me? So is it for you? Is it for others? Is it really for Christ? And obviously the answer is for Christ, and not for any other selfish reason. Now, one of the ways in which you know you're a Christian for Christ is obviously a relationship with him, but you don't do things for people because you want other people to see you or to please people, right? You do things because you love Christ, you have a relationship with him, and you want to please him. Just as if you have a partner, like a romantic relationship, or if you have a friendship, you do things to please that friend, to make that friend happy, to make your partner happy, because you love them and you want to make them happy. So if I put on something, clothes-wise, and I think, what is Sister Rose going to think when I put this on? Or what is the pastor going to think? Or I made a post and I'm thinking, what is this or that person going to think? Then I've already started off on the wrong foot. Fine? Because the truth is, we should first say, is Jesus okay with this? What does Jesus think? Once he's okay with it, it don't matter what anybody else wants to say, and that's the truth. And I'm not negating the fact that we must not be a stumbling block, that we mustn't consider these things. However, if you say, what does Jesus think? You're good to go. It doesn't matter. You won't be a stumbling block to other people. So first, understand that Christianity is a journey. And second, why are you a Christian? Ensure that Jesus is your why. Because, I was always in it, my parents were in it, it's tradition, so I'm doing it. No. With your devotional life needs to be up. I've spoken about that before. Devotional life needs to be up there. Devotional life consists of her reading the Bible, talking to God, meditating on the word that you read, as well as any other Christian book, any other spiritual book that will help you. Now, your devotional life does not have to look like everybody else. That's the truth. I remember at one point I thought that my devotional life had to look like, as I get up, I need to Of course, you pray, you wake up, listen, to have your eyes open, you're up, you're praying, you're thanking God. Not just a monotonous prayer, but literally having a conversation with Him. And that's what your prayer life should be. You talking to God, you having a prayer life with Him, and you having a conversation with Him. And that's why the Bible is important, because when you have the Bible now, the Bible is God talking back to you. So that's why you have that conversation. You pray, then you listen to what He says when you read His word. Fine. So your devotional life should not look like what everybody else's devotional life should look like. So I'm gonna be honest, a lot of older Christians, what they believe is that Christianity or a devotional life should be early in the morning, you get up, and the first thing you sit down and you read the Bible, listen, sleep in your eye and whatever. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to look like that. And I'm gonna make a video about how to have a proper devotional life with your busy schedule. So stay tuned for that one. But your devotional life don't have to look like everybody else's one. That's why the relationship is with Jesus. It's so strange to think about it, but your relationship with Jesus is nobody else's relationship with Him. Your relationship is your relationship. Fine. So you have to understand that you are ensuring that you maintain that communication with you and Him. And you sing song, you pray, you read the Bible, whatever you need to do, you give Him that alone time. You're not there checking on Instagram, checking on WhatsApp, and talking to other people. It's He and your alone time. Fine. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe. All right, back to the video. Study the life of Jesus. Now, if Jesus is your why, which goes back to the second point, you're going to need to know Him, right? Separate and apart from, okay, have a devotional life with Him. But you have to really know Him. So one of the ways in which you easily know Him is to read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which really has His life written out, right? Another thing you can do is read the prophecies in the Old Testament that spoke about Jesus coming. Jesus is coming in Isaiah, Jeremiah, etc., Zechariah as well. So this is where you'd get to know Him on a personal level, know about Him. You know, if you meet someone and you like them, partner-wise, right? You get to know them. Another thing, something I've noticed about myself lately, I'm really asking my parents more questions. I love them. I want to know more about them as a person, not just, oh, you're my mom or my dad, but I want to know who you are as a whole, as a person. And that's what it's going to be. You will want to know about Jesus. You will want to read of Him. You will want to say, okay, what a person is this? So you're going to read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and go through all the prophecies that talk about Him, as well as you could go through what the New Testament, you can go through the New Testament and what the apostles also spoke about Him. But to be very honest, I don't want to go too in depth in this one. However, the whole Bible talks about Jesus. For example, just give a quick example. Joseph had 12 brothers. Joseph was a type of Jesus. He was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Jesus was sold for 30, and he was sold by his brothers. Jesus was sold by one of his disciples. And even when we sin, we sell him out, and so did the Jews. Blah 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 blah. So you can still find Jesus in other characters of the Bible, if you get what I mean. So Jesus is right through. However, the place to start would be Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, as well as the prophecies that spoke about Him coming. Yeah. Read and study into the work of the Holy Spirit. Now, when you study into the work of the Holy Spirit, you understand two portions of the Godhead that are distinctly laid out in the Bible. Of course, God the Father is also a part of the Godhead, but I'm speaking of Jesus the Son and God the Holy Spirit, right? Right. Jesus, who is God the Son, and the Holy Spirit, who is also a part of the Godhead. Now, the best place to go and read about Holy Spirit is in Acts, where, you know, we were really introduced to the Holy Spirit right there, and in the New Testament in general, because when it spoke about Jesus was conceived by the Holy Spirit. We're not going to get into that either. However, the verse where I'd send you is Galatians 5 verse 22. The fruit of the Spirit is love, and there's a song, and I've sung this before. I'm not sure if I sung it here, but it goes, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, and the fruit of the Spirit is joy, and the fruit of the Spirit is peace and patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5:22. So that's a whole study in and of itself, but study the fruits of the Spirit. Remember, I started off with a verse that spoke about basically he who keeps God's laws will be planted by the tree will be as a tree. Basically, he who keeps God's laws will be as a tree planted by the rivers of water. So he'll be constantly watered and flourishing, and he will produce fruits in his due season and in due season. And we need to produce fruits. So where are we going to get those fruits from? Relationship with God, knowing about the Holy Spirit, and having the Holy Spirit. Understand that you will not understand and know every single thing. You will not understand and know every single thing, which leads to my next point. So some things are a mystery. Some things are going to be a mystery, and we'll not know them until Christ comes and we go to heaven with him and things are revealed to us. So that's the truth. So sometimes people want to rush you and, oh, you don't know this, or oh, you don't know that. Take your time and get into it and get to it, but you're not going to know every single thing from the get-go. Find a community. I've spoken about having moved away from my community, meaning my church brethren that I grew up with and stuff like that. And I've really been trying to find another church community that I do gel with and we can do Bible studies and stuff like that. But I do have that in my family. So I'm not without a community. And I still have my church community that I grew up with. It's just that we're not physically together, like, yeah. So find a community, because as I said, iron sharpeneth iron. With that said, understand that though you have found a community, and you have the 12 disciples, Judas is everywhere. So you do this with wisdom, right? Iron sharpeneth iron. Not everybody's going to be your friend. However, we're going to heaven. That's the aim. And you must live peaceably as much as possible with all men. Fine? So find a community. Search for that community. And don't stop until you find one that really suits you. With iron sharpening iron and finding a community, I'm sure you'd have had friends from before. So take your circle into consideration. Let them know of your change. Let them know, hey, this is now the journey I'm embarking on. Sometimes you've always been a Christian. I'm not only speaking to new converts, because sometimes you've always been a Christian, but the truth is we never lived up to where we're supposed to. And because of that, your friends are used to you being wayward, and now you've recommitted your life, or you've really met Jesus. And so you have to speak to your friends. You have to let them know this is what I'm doing, and you have to stay steadfast so that they understand that you are serious. So identify that Christianity is a journey, and you're starting that journey. It's not the destination. Why are you a Christian? Figure that out. Ensure that you have an active, consistent devotional life. Remember that you need to know Jesus, so you need to study out his life and study the Holy Spirit as well, because we need to have the Holy Spirit. See you at my next video.